Hi yogis, namaste. Today's video is about the hip joint and also the knee joint. A lot of yogi practitioners will experience sometimes pain in the knee, and the most common reason for this is doing the hip external rotation poses such as Lotus, some standing poses where we are asking the hip joint to move very deeply, but we put the leg in a position like Lotus, for example, where my foot becomes fixed, my hip becomes fixed because I'm tight, I can't go any deeper, and to go deeper, my knee starts to twist. I try to go deeper by letting my knee down, but because the hip is tight, the foot is fixed, the only thing that can happen is the twisting of the knee. A little bit of twisting of the knee is not a big issue. I would say it's designed to be like this to give us a little bit of free space in our mobility. But we don't want tension and pressure on the twisting of the knee. This is what causes injuries. So when we want to prepare for this types of poses, well, first let's say a lot of people do this poses too soon. If we see this kind of Lotus, difficult to pull up, means probably too much pressure and tension in the knee. In the standing poses, kind of standing Lotus, it's even worse because then we have to manage the balance. And if we lose the balance suddenly and this is stuck, it's going to be a big impact onto the knee. So how should a Lotus be at least? Lotus ideally should be that the ankle is totally on top of the thigh. That means my ankle is free and my knee should have least amount of pressure and be able to come down quite easily. Same thing for the second leg. Ankle should be kind of free, knee should be resting down without any pressure or pain. Some people will say that if you want to know a good indication you're ready to do the Lotus, means you can do this even without using the hands. Right? Because I'm using my own muscles of the legs to create that mobility. For sure then it should be safe for the joints. If I need to use my arms to apply pressure to get something into position, it's not as functional, it's not as safe. If you already have some knee pains, some knee injuries, you can, first of all, avoid some of these poses. And please know that also knee pain and knee injury, you may not feel until 1 or 2 days until after what you did to the knee. Because the knee is such a large joint, it takes a long time for the swelling to accumulate until you start to notice some pain from that. So be mindful about your practice when you're doing deep hip opening poses where there may be pressure to the knee. If you've commonly experienced that, work on safe ways of opening your hip first. Not like a Lotus. Lotus is already kind of putting ourselves into a place of pressure if it's not deep enough. Okay? And if it's not deep enough, it's looking more like, again, this. Ankles are twisting, feet are kind of stuck onto the inside of the thigh. What can you do if you already have this knee pain besides avoiding those poses? Is strengthen the legs somehow. Simple ways of doing that just means you engage your kneecap, your quadriceps, to pull your kneecap up. That will do a lot to help stabilize the knee joints. Other things you can do are more classic exercise. You can go for running, you can go for bicycling, you can do squats, you can do presses on the machine. Some people will say, oh, but this is not yoga. Please, I want you to understand, yoga is whatever will move you towards the balance of yourself, which includes your body, towards your well-being. So there is nothing off limits about that. If certain condition says running will help me to fix my knee, then running will be good yoga for you. And so on, depending on the situation, depending on the condition that we have. If someone is only running and not doing any stretching, body will be imbalanced towards another way. So then they would need to incorporate some stretching. A lot of people get the idea that yoga equals stretching, but this is, again, imbalanced. If we only focus on doing a lot of deep stretching poses, then the body gets very open, and we still continue with this idea. Yoga is deep stretching. People will continue stretching and stretching until they destabilize their joints. And this is one example we're talking about now. Knee becomes destabilized, overworking on the hip stretching poses. So, squeeze the knee, exercise the muscles of the leg to stabilize the knee joint, and prepare more how you do your hip stretches. Pigeon Pose is a really good one to work with, or the version of pigeon laying down on the back, as some people are calling, is a thread the needle. It's probably safest one to work on. This is where you place the ankle to the knee, reach the arms through your legs, flex the foot to help stabilize the knee, and as you exhale, pull your leg towards your body. think of keeping the tailbone onto the ground. Now actually, before we go into deep stretching, we should do something to really heat up the muscles and really build up the circulation in the area that we want to stretch. So let's do that now. We'll look at some exercises for different levels to work on our hip external rotators. I mean, the leg is turning outwards. We want to try to make this muscles especially tired so that when we do our stretching, it's going to be very easy to open into poses like a pigeon. A lot of these you can do table, or you could also do standing variations of the same type of thing. First one, we start with just taking the knee up to the side. Try to keep the shoulders square, try to keep the hips square, and if you can, raise and turn up higher with your leg. Second variation is to do with the legs straight, and try to turn the toes upwards, up and down, using your exhalation to go up and inhalation to go down. We can hold up and we can try to do little rotations. Or big rotations like circles, forwards and backwards. Okay, now I would do many sets of these until you get to muscle failure. Basically, you can't lift the leg up anymore. Now all your hip external rotators should be very tired, starting to get fatigued. Then you can go for your pigeon pose. Pigeon pose, we bring one knee towards the wrist. The foot can be close to the hip if we're tighter, and as we're getting more open, coming towards the other wrist. Then we start to move the left leg back and sitting down lower onto the pelvis and front thigh. When we're tight in the beginning, you may not be able to go all the way down. This is okay. Don't put anything underneath of you because that will just stop you from going down. The point is to go down low. So keep the space open here. Try to have the hands somewhere close by and start with lifting your chest. Make a lot of length in the spine. Then continuing over time, moving further back with your straight leg, moving forward with your upper body. Again, keeping the weight in the middle, not to the left, not to the right, balanced in the center. For those who are getting really open in the hip, we can do one more thing to make the stretch deeper onto the right hip. And this is a twist. Taking the other arm through, keeping the chest and the head up, and try to keep the right hip heavy. Don't allow this kind of complete turning out to happen. A little bit is okay. You start to open out, leading through the arm. Use your breath. You exhale, inhale to come back up. So this set of exercises is the main focus of what we're talking on, stretching the hip joint. When you do warm up, do a lot of other leg poses. So do your sun salutations, general warm up. Do poses like chair, like warrior two, like goddess, squats even, one leg squats, one leg chair. Try to work everything in your legs as much as you can. Your glutes, your psoas. Really make a lot of heat there. Make the muscles tired. Hard work. Then come down to this last leg raising to the side, then your pigeon pose. And if you do sets through rounds of all of these things, hip is going to open very deep and very easily. Then you eventually will start to be able to have your lotus. You can do deep lotus without twisting on the ankles, without twisting on the knee. Okay, so take this good practice, share with others, like, subscribe. Thank you so much. Namaste.